Hello students, welcome to Gyanvihar School of Education. I'm Dr. Sonia Korbansal and today's my topic is standardized and non-standardized test in research in the subject methodology of educational research. So let's understand how the standardized and non-standardized tests are very useful in pursuing a research. So today's class learning objectives are to enable you students to understand and grasp the concept of standardized and non-standardized test. You will understand in category wise what are the standardized tests and what are the non-standardized tests, and you will also understand the characteristics and types of standardized and non-standardized tests. So my learning outcomes would be fulfilled if you understand it, how to use the standardized and non-standardized test in your research work. So let's understand it in an elaborative manner. So let's start it, students. Now, first of all, let me introduce the concept. So, we all know that education aims at the all-around development of a student. And it is not merely imparting knowledge to the student. It is something else. So, evaluation is the process of judging the value of a worth of an individual's achievement or characteristics. So it is the judging of the goals attained by the educational system. In order to evaluate the student's knowledge, teacher uses different types of tests. When we are teaching the students, and it is essential for a teacher to assess the students and to do their evaluation. So in order to evaluate, teacher uses different types of tests and techniques. So these are different, and let's have a look on the classification of different tests that the teacher uses. You can have a look on the presentation diagram given to you in the form of flow chart. So achievement test is divided into two forms. One is standardized test, another is teacher-made test. Then we can see teacher-made test is divided into three parts. First is written teacher-made test, then secondly oral teacher-made test, and then thirdly practical teacher-made test. Now when we are talking about written teacher-made test, then it is again divided into three parts. Now we can have essay type written teacher-made test, and then we can have short answer type written teacher-made test, and then objective type written teacher-made test. So this is how the teacher evaluates the students after teaching the concept in the classroom. Now let's understand first of all about the standardized test. So standardized, first of all, let's understand the meaning of this term standardized. That means something is already done and tested. So it means uniformity of procedure in scoring, administering, and interpreting the results of a particular test. So when a teacher or the researcher is using standardized tests and skills that have met the criteria of testing, so this means that they have been used in a sufficiently large number of cases to make it possible to determine their validity, reliability, objectivity, and administrability. So it means when we are talking about standardized tests, they are framed on the basis of particular objectives, particular dimension. It may be psychological or any other dimension. So when the teacher or the researcher needs to analyze a sample or the classroom students, then standardized test is required in that case where you want to have a uniformity in scoring and administering pattern of the test, where you are having the population in front of you and you want to administer that particular test upon that. So it would be easy for you to apply the standardized test because it meets out the validity, reliability, objectivity, and administrability in that case. So it is determining those factors very nicely. Now, a standardized test is a test that is administered and scored in a consistent or standard manner. That means you have to follow the particular manual system or particular scoring system for giving the marks to the particular item. And you cannot change on the basis of your will or on your mood. It is not like that. So it is administered in such procedure which is already predetermined, and it is scored also in that predetermined manner. So any test in which the same test is given in the same manner to all test takers and graded in the same manner for everyone is a standardized test. It is developed by test specialist. So just make it very clear, students, that when we are talking about a particular test which is given to sample A and which is later on given to sample B, but the manner the test is provided to them will be same. There will be no difference. And moreover, when it will be scored, marking system will be same. Either you are giving the test to group A or sample A 1 month before or 1 year before or 1 week or 1 day before. It would be same. So it would be graded in the same manner for everyone. So that's why it is called standardized test. Standards are not changed time to time. So that's why they are fixed, and moreover, they are developed by some specialist subject expert scholars. So on particular subject, a particular specialist is required to frame the standardized test, and then its validity and reliability is tested on the basis of pilot study also. After that long process, any test becomes standardized. So standardized test, students, it is administered and scored in a very consistent and standard manner. We cannot change that. So remember this. Now students, let's understand that a standardized test is any form of test that, number one, requires all test takers to answer the same questions. The questions are same. They are not changed from sample to sample, or they are not changed from one student to another student. So answer you will be asking the same questions to all the samples, or a selection of questions from common bank of questions is done in the same way that it is scored in a standard or consistent manner, which makes it possible to compare the relative performance of individual students or group of students. So this is how standardized test works. Number one, you must remember that it requires all the test takers, those who are giving the test, they will be answering the same questions. And number two, they will be scored on a standard consistent manner. That means either A unit from sample A, or either B unit from sample Y or B. So these will be scored in the same manner. The pattern will not be changed because it has already been standardized. While different types of tests and assessments may be standardized in this way, the term is primarily associated with large-scale tests administered to large population of students, such as multiple choice test given to all the 8th grade public school students in particular state. So it is standardized in that way that it is useful that for that particular population. And if you are giving multiple choice test also, so they are actually giving you proper idea of that particular population about particular or specific dimension the researcher or the teacher has chosen. So this is like different types of tests and assessments may be standardized in this way. So the term is primarily associated with large scale tests administered to large population of students. So that's why the results are generalized then on the population. Now, next, in addition to the familiar multiple choice format, standardized tests can include true false questions, short answer questions, essay questions, or a mix of question types. So it is not mandatory that we are only providing multiple choice format questions. The test maker can include true false questions, short answer questions, essay, or any other type of question which the test maker is required to have. So while standardized tests were traditionally presented on paper and completed using pencils, and many still are increasingly being administered on computers connected to online programs. And nowadays we all know that many of the researchers are collecting their data from online process only. So they are creating the questionnaire, they are just converting their standardized test through Google form, and they are just collecting the data. So as well as you can collect the data from standardized test face to face, or you can collect through technological manner also. While students' standardized test may come in a variety of forms, multiple choice and true false formats are widely used for large scale testing and situations. Because computers can score them quickly and very consistently and inexpensively. It just takes a click for the computer and you will be having all the results in front of you. So when you are having multiple choice questions in your standardized test, the marks are already fed or the correct options are already fed or saved in the computer. And on the basis of those responses which the respondents have given, the calculation of the marks is done on just one click and it saves the time of the researcher also. So for example, NCLEX, NECLEX, National Council Licensure Examination is a nationwide examination for licensing of nurses in the United States and Canada. As SAT, Scholastic Assessment Test, it is also a standardized test. So it is done in that way. Now understand the standardized test, and after that we are going to proceed towards non-standardized test. So students, what are the non-standardized tests? As its name suggests that whatever we had in standardized tests, so we are having the term non in front of that. So non-standardized test is a systematic procedure for determining the amount of student has learned through instructions. So standardized test is actually focusing upon the examinee's attainment at a given point of time. That means, for example, if as a teacher I'm teaching something in my classroom, and for 1 week teaching, after 1 week teaching, I plan to take test of my students. And this would have been in a form of weekly test or class test after 1 week. And I just want to check my students' knowledge about whatever I have delivered during this week. So I would be framing some questions on the basis of the readings or studies we have done during this week, and the students will answer them accordingly, according to my instructions. So these type of questioning or these type of testing is called non-standardized testing. Basically, we can call them teacher-made test also. So teacher-made tests are used to evaluate the progress of the student in school. However, the specific use of tests may vary from school to school and teacher to teacher. This entirely depends upon the functionality or the technical knowledge or maybe the experience or maybe the content knowledge of the teacher. How the teacher is well versed with a particular dimension. So it may vary from school to school in the same way that one particular school is having the tradition of taking the test through traditional method or through smart classrooms. It depends on those teachers or those schools also. So just to sum up this slide, I would like to say that non-standardized test is a systematic procedure for determining how much your student has learned in a particular time period or maybe in a point of time. They are called teacher-made test and it may vary from teacher to teacher or school to school. So this is how basically the progress is assessed of any student by the school or by the teacher. Now students, let's understand that a non-standardized testing is one that allows for an assessment of an individual's abilities or performances, but doesn't allow for a fair comparison of one student to another. Yes, we can say like that. No doubt, it allows a teacher to judge a particular individual or a student how much he or she is capable in doing a particular task or project or any psychomotor or cognitive activity the teacher has given to him or her in the classroom or in the playground or anywhere else the teacher wants to take the test. But that is also fact about non-standardized tests that it doesn't allow for a fair comparison of one student to another. The test results can be used for students as well as for teachers and for the administrative purposes also. Let me explain you this how for administrative purposes if the teacher is teaching one particular subject and there are 50-60 students in the classroom and the administration has appointed a particular teacher to teach that particular subject and 50-60 students are taking interest in that whatever the teacher is teaching, whatever the teacher is testing them, evaluating them throughout the session. After the completing of session, when there is a time of evaluation or the score or the result time, then it is an evaluation of a teacher also as how many students have scored well, how many students have not scored well or we could not score well due to particular reasons. So in that case, administration takes necessary steps to change the teacher or maybe to find out the root cause for not having the proper response by that time. So these tests are very simple to use because they are teacher-made tests and easy for the students as they are doing the answers on the basis of their practice, on the basis of their memory, what the teachers have taught them. Sometimes teachers take sudden class test also. This is also non-standardized test and the students do them because sometimes it is based on their memory level also. What they have experienced in real classroom situations, they are supposed to give answers in them. So we can say that it is easy for the students if they are paying attention in the regular classrooms. But evaluation is an essential part which has to be done from the part of a teacher. So teachers can assess the strengths and weaknesses of the students by the non-standardized test. And it is really very important for a good teacher, which I must say very emphatically, that teacher must know about the weaknesses also of the students, not only the strengths. Because strengths are something that may be highlighted with due course of time, but weaknesses are something that may not be expressed by the child in due course of time, and due to that weakness, the child's studies may be suffering, or maybe his assessment is being affected. So it is very important for a teacher to know the weaknesses also. So there are various ways to know the weaknesses of a particular subject. So by that, accordingly, the teacher provides the diagnostic testing and then provides remedial teaching to those particular students who are failing to understand something in real classroom situations or with other students as well. So we can say that non-standardized testing is a very good tool in the hands of teachers, which actually gives the opportunity to a real teacher to assess the abilities of the students, as how much they perform, to what extent they perform, and how better they can perform in future. So it is all about that. Then we can see that teachers can understand the need for reteaching concepts and can decide remedial instructions as well. As now, just I was telling you that teachers are teaching the concepts and then evaluating the students by means of non-standardized testing, and in that they might be giving the questions that they have taught just now during this period, maybe during this week, or maybe yesterday, so maybe during this month. So the teacher is testing how much the students have learned now, because we all know that teaching is where there is learning, there will be teaching. If there is no learning, we cannot count that activity as a teaching. All right, students. So it has to be taken in care that when the teacher is teaching and the students are understanding, then teacher has to understand that how many students are understanding well and how many students do need the reteaching concept, because it is not possible due to different individual differences in the classrooms, of variety of children in the classrooms with different IQ level of the children, that they must be needing, some of them must be needing the remedial instructions also. So standardized non-standardized testing helps them in that too. Then nextly, teacher made test devised by the teachers is to meet their various needs and directives. Why the teacher uses non-standardized testing time to time? Why it is important to take the classroom test, weekly test? Why it is important? If the teacher is not sure as how much the students have learned and how much the objectives are fulfilled from particular duration of time, then how can we expect from a experienced teacher or a fresher teacher to go forward and just shift from one topic to another topic? So it actually fulfills the needs of the teachers also, and the directives which it is being given to them indirectly from the side of the students, that okay, we have learned that, and the teacher can proceed further. So tests are not so carefully and scientifically prepared. Yes, this is one of the characteristics of non-standardized test. So let me clarify you what are the scientific preparation of the test. See students, in science, we study the cause and effect relationship, why this test is made and what it will be affecting. It is not given a particular thought in non-standardized testing. So it is not like that we are going to give that test to another classes or another schools also. So in that case, whatever the teacher has taught, the teacher is going to evaluate that only. So in that case, maybe teacher is becoming little biased, or maybe becoming little more lenient in that case, that the teacher is herself providing the opportunities to the students to score well. So that's why it is said that it is not so carefully and scientifically prepared. Then nextly, the items of teacher made test are seldom analyzed and edited. Whatever the items or questions the teacher adds in the question paper, So it is not like that. The teacher is actually analyzing them, or anyone else is analyzing them before conducting the test. So now, after studying some value points of the standardized and non-standardized tests, now let's understand the characteristics. First of all, reliability. So what is reliability? Reliability is, students, is a characteristics of any test. Reliable, being reliable is a good characteristic. So we are talking this term in the reference to our test also, and it refers to accuracy and consistency of information obtained in a study. It means the test would be reliable if it is tested at one time on particular sample, and if it tested in another time on that same particular sample, and after getting them tested, you will find that results are same. They are not being differentiated. So it means your test is reliable. It is giving you reliable score, or it is not being affected by the time. So a well-developed scientific tool should be accurate results both at present as well as over the time. So whenever it is taken, it will be giving you the accurate results all the time. So this is the main characteristics of reliability, that it is full of accuracy as well as consistency. Then next we are going to discuss about that next characteristic, that a test good reliability means that the test taker will obtain the same test score over repeated testing. How many times you are repeating, it will give you same results. So no other extraneous efforts or factors have affected the scores. Now, extraneous factors may be the environment, maybe the time, maybe the mood, or maybe the instruction pattern. There can be many extraneous factors which may affect the reliability of the test. But if it is not being affected by any of the factors, outsider factors, when the test is being repeated on one population after one time, on then in the next time, maybe it is same day or another day, another week, so it will not be affecting the scores. So a good instrument will produce consistent scores, and instrument's reliability is estimated using a correlation coefficient. So this is how it is done. Now, types of reliability. Let's understand that, students, what is types of reliability. I have told you that what is reliability. Reliability, just to make you more understand about it, reliability, students, when you are actually testing something. When you are testing something repeatedly. So by that time, you are actually checking the reliability, that how it is affecting the score of your students. So first type is test, retest, reliability. So it is a measure of reliability obtained by administering the same test twice over a period of time to a group of individuals. The scores from time 1 and time 2 can then be correlated in order to evaluate the test for stability over time. So this is called test retest reliability method. Then second type of reliability is parallel forms reliability. And it is a measure of reliability obtained by administering different versions of an assessment tool. Both versions must contain items that probe the same construct, skill, knowledge base, etc. To the same group of individuals, the scores from the two versions can then be correlated in order to evaluate the consistency of results scores across alternate versions. So parallel forms of reliability, students, it is obtained from administering the test from different versions of an assessment tool, and both must be containing the or probing the same construct, same skills, same knowledge to different type of versions of test you are testing, and you are getting the same results. So this is called parallel forms reliability. Then next type of reliability is inter-rater reliability. And this inter-rater reliability is a measure of reliability used to assess the degree to which different judges or raters agree in their assessment decisions. Inter-rater reliability is very useful, students, because human observers will not necessarily interpret answers in the same way. Raters may disagree as to how well certain responses or material demonstrate knowledge of the construct or skill being assessed. So this is called inter-rater reliability, which is actually based upon the rates being given by different judges or different raters. Now, students, let's understand about validity. And what is validity? Just understand that in a way that validity is something when a test is prepared for a particular purpose and particular objective is kept in mind to while preparing that particular test. And when the respondents have given the answers, the researcher's objective is fulfilled because for what purpose the test was made, it is completed, it is achieved. So this is called the validity of the test. So it is measuring that dimension which is required to which is required to measure. So the accuracy with which a test measures whatever it is supposed to measure is called validity. An evaluation procedure is valid to the extent that it provides an assessment of the degree to which pupils have achieved specific objectives, content manner, and learning experiences. Validity is students is an important characteristics of any test. And just believe me, if there is no validity, your test is useless because it is not going to measure what you intend to measure. So this refers to what the test really measures. A test is valid if it measures what we really wish to measure. That component is clearly coming out what you wish. So it is a more complex concept that broadly concerns with the soundness of the study's evidence. That is whether the findings are unbiased and well grounded. So this is called validity, students. Now let's understand how, in what way the validity is being affected sometimes in taking the test. So let's understand the factors affecting validity one by one. And firstly, we are going to discuss about if reading vocabulary is poor, students fail to reply to the test. Maybe you have created very good items, questions in your test, but the student's reading vocabulary is poor and he or she is not understanding that particular meaning, what you have intended to. So in that case, your validity will be disturbed because what you want to measure, the student is not understanding that and he fails to reply the test. So this may be one of the factor. And then secondly, difficult sentences make difficulty to understand. So it is always advisable for the test constructors to create the test in legible and very clear language, so that the sentences are not difficult to understand for the students or the respondents which they are targeting to. Then next is another factor we are discussing, factors affecting validity. So use of appropriate items. So inappropriate items includes actually poor validity. So what you want to measure in your test include that only. If you are including any other item apart from your testing components, then you will not be having a sound validity. Then next, more important, medium of expressions. English instruction difficult for non-English medium students. So there is some language problem in India. We study the English language as a foreign language in Indian classrooms, and everybody is not very much comfortable with English language, or maybe it is with vice versa in Hindi language. So sometimes it becomes little difficult, so it may also affect the validity. Then too easy and too difficult test items would not discriminate among people. Influences of extraneous factors, grammar, handwriting, legibility, etc., they are all the factors which is affecting them. And then time limitations. Yes, students, so time limitation is also there. So when one student is being given the particular time limit and another is not given, so it may also affect the validity. So these are some factors which we have to take in care while testing. So validity is very important. If your test is not valid, your scores will not be considered valid and your results might be affected. All right. Now let's understand, students, about the types of validity. There are many types of validity, so we are going to understand them one by one. And first of all, there is content validity. As its name suggests, students, content. So content or the subject matter. So all major aspects of the content area should be covered by the test items. Whatever the subject you have chosen to test from your respondents, all the aspects must be covered. Might be it is your particular unit, or maybe the sub-unit, sub-points. So all must be covered equally, or the marks weightage given to that particularly. Then this is called content validity. That means a test, if I'm saying that this is a science test, so science content must be visible in that test. It should not be like that. You are saying this is science test and the content is something representing social science content. So this has to be taken in care. Now next we are talking about predictive validity. As its name is suggesting, predictive is leading to predictions. So what we are going to predict? So predictive validity is extent to which a test can predict the future performance of the students. You have applied a test on your students, and now after applying the test, you can very well state that whether this class will perform wonderfully in board examinations or not, or they need hard work. So this is the type of statement which is expected after conducting a test, and if it is not giving, so be sure that the test is not having predictive kind of validity. Then third type is what we are going to discuss, that is concurrent validity. Now in concurrent validity is to diagnose the existing status of individual rather than predicting about the future outcome. So we are not discussing here about future outcome, what will happen in future, but right now it is actually giving you proper status of an individual, how much the individual is performing and how better he is performing and where he is lacking. So this is concurrent validity. At the present time, it is assessing well. And dear students, if it is not assessing that, then just believe me that it is losing the concurrent validity, which is not good for our test. The next is about constructive validity. So constructive validity is, students, about extent to which a test reflects to measure a hypothesis trait. We all know that we decide some objectives before starting a research, and accordingly we prepare some 10 research questions also. And in research questions, with the help of research questions, we frame some tentative solutions which are called hypotheses. So when a hypothesis trait trait is with us, that we have just make a hypothesis on it, and it is actually measuring or reflecting that also. So it is covering the constructive validity. Now next is face validity. That means you can know with through the face of the question, how does it look, how it is actually being tested, and is it logical. So when one looks at the test, he or she thinks of the extent to which the test seems logically related to what is being tested. All right, students. So this is all about types of validity. We have seen content, predictive, and then we have seen uh, concurrent, constructive, and face validity. So these are all the types of validity. And then we are going to see next is about cost. So let's understand about cost. A good test should be inexpensive. It is not right that some of the people think that if the test is very expensive, only then it is going to give good results. It may be more valid, more reliable. No, it is not like that. And a good testing must be inexpensive, because not only from the viewpoint of money, but also from the viewpoint of time and efforts taken in the construction of a test. So fortunately, there is no direct relationship between the cost and quality. We cannot state it direct way. But it is for sure, if we are going to get the inexpensive testing, then definitely we are going to do more and more research, and those who are not able to afford those expensive testing, they will be having some good opportunities to do testing on those particular dimensions also. So costing matters a lot. Then ease in administration. So we are talking about the testing should not be very typical or very difficult to administer on a population or a sample. So testing is good only when the conditions of answering are simple, scientific, and logic. Its instruction should be very simple and clear, and it should be understandable by the students. Now, time. So, generally, the time given to students is always in short supply, and we instruct before the test. And however, the students do not accept very long test. Therefore, a test should neither be very long nor very short. So this is actually very much important point, that you must take care of time when you are administering any test on your sample. Then acceptability. This is the important point that you must take care. Acceptability is a test. A good test should be acceptable to student, to whom it is being given, without regard to any specific situation. That is, the question given in the test should be neither very difficult nor very easy. So it is somehow acceptable by the students that what they are going to do in that test. Then specificity. That is particularity. The item in a test should be specific to the objectives. What are the objectives of that test? What do you want to measure? What is your research question? So it should be very, very clear from the point of view of testing. So specificity must be clear whenever you are testing. The next is about objectivity. Yes, to the extent to which independent researcher would arrive at similar judgment or conclusion. So judgment not biased by personal values or beliefs is called objectivity. That means you are not subjective somewhere. What you see is you are believing, and it should not be based on some kind of prejudices. Then next we are talking about equilibrium. Achievement of the correct proportion among questions allotted to each of the objectives and teaching content is very necessary. Then testing should be precise and clear. Items should be precise and clear so that the students can answer well and score marks. Then let's discuss about usability of the test. Usefulness of an object or product is very important, considered as the ease of use or the extent to which a product can be used by a specified user. So in education, the teacher verifies the accuracy of information obtained about the student's performance after administering an education tool. So usability is also very important when we are testing. Now, norms must also be followed. Standard of comparison for test results developed by giving the test to large, well-defined groups of people. It must be very clear to all the students, those who are taking the test or test givers. Now, these are some references, students, from your point of view of more study. I hope you will study them when you will revise my video, and then you will be understanding more about it. Now let's have some MCQs, students, and they will be very helpful. And now these are some questions based on your general understanding. So let's understand them one by one. Now, what is Rorschach's projective test designed to measure? So A, unconscious intentions, dreams, conscious desires, brain size. So what does it measure? So it is actually designed to measure conscious desires. Then secondly, which of the following is not a projective test? Word association test, Rorschach's ink blot test, thematic apperception test, sentence completion test. So these are the types of some tests which you have to tell about which is not a projective test. And then next, an IQ test. Try to solve these questions and just prepare well. An IQ test does not provide which of the following? High test, retest reliability, good predictor of behavior, high internal consistency, or good validity. So IQ test does not provide what it does not provide. So a good predictor of behavior, definitely it gives. High internal consistency is not to be provided by IQ testing. Then the Wechsler Adult Intelligence Scale can be used to assess eligibility for housing benefits, disability allowance, suicide risk, special educational needs. Next question is related to which of the following is true to retest reliability. The test is measuring what it claims to be measuring. Yes, of course it should be. Then the test will produce consistent results. Yes, it should be. The client will improve performance second time round. So it has maybe sometimes it is test reliability is concerning more. All of the above can be the right answer. Which of the following refers to inter-rater reliability? So the degree to which two tests measure the same construct, the degree to which a clinician can predict future behavior, the degree to which two clinicians will agree on interpretation or scoring of a test, the degree to which the items in the test relate to each other. So the C option is the appropriate answer. So I hope you have understood well. Thank you so much, students. And I believe that you have understood well and you will be achieving more and more about the knowledge of standardized test and non-standardized test, which is very useful for you. And specifically for those who are into doing research. So see you in the next class, students. Till then, stay safe and take care.